All right, everyone, I'm recording this meeting in progress, so I apologize for hitting the record meeting button late.
If I might, just for the record on that, say that we have opened the meeting, taken attendance, pledge, and allowed remote attendance of trustees Michelle and Borowski, and heard the public safety report.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Vic. All right, moving right along, we have the consent agenda, and I'll repeat myself, and that is we have the bills list, our pay warrant. We have the executive session minutes with non-substantive changes, the board meeting minutes, and the board meeting calendar for 2023. I have one recommended revision to the meeting minutes, and that is on page 3, item 13, where it talks about discussion, consideration, approval, resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Lake County for sidewalk improvements to Aptekissick Road. In the very second sentence, it should be the village share of this project is estimated at $72,000, not the cost of this project is estimated at $72,000. Any concerns with that?
No.
It's we pay 20%. That's why it needs to change.
It was 70, our share? I thought our share was 30.
All in, everything, I checked it, all the different
The one
components.
along
Arlington Heights Road.
tweet table.
Oh, this is Aptekissick.
Aptekissick, yeah, Aptekissick, yep. So, all right, so if there's no objections to that, does somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
We want to have a meeting on February 14th.
Clarifying.
Does anyone object to that?
What are you referring to?
Valentine's Day, we have a board meeting on Valentine's Day, and we have before on Valentine's Day.
I know we had a really contentious one at Village Church on.
Yes, I was there, yes.
That was the Valentine's Day massacre.
Yes.
Yes.
I have, any objections to that, or, yes?
I just.
Just saying?
Jordan is trying to be here.
All right, does somebody want to make a motion?
I just so we approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
Change to the,
Second.
okay, moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kritzmeyer? Aye. Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Micho?
Abstain.
Yes, I don't, she wasn't at the meeting.
she wasn't there.
Trustee Panucci?
Aye.
Village President Jacob?
Aye.
Oh.
But neither.
What?
I wasn't either. I was not present. I listened to the.
But you can vote,
You can.
what is, Vic, help us out. You're muted.
One does not need to be present to be able to vote on minutes or other items of that nature. But one also has the prerogative to abstain.
And abstain counts as a yes, so you're good,
I
so.
listened to the tape.
All right, so you're yes, all right. Okay, aye. Did you get it?
Yeah.
All right, motion carried, all right. Now you're gonna have to help me out. Is Dan Berg on the line somewhere?
Dan?
So this is agenda item number 10, under other business. It's the presentation of the fiscal year 22-23 audit conducted by Sikich. And we were hoping that Dan Berg would be here tonight.
Don't know what happened. He committed to today, and I sent him the information. I hope everything's okay. I had provided the electronic versions of the audit to the members of the board. We had hard copies available. We still have hard copies available. I brought them to the last meeting, so if the board members would like one for the hard copies, the audit report, the manager's letter, more than happy to get that to you. Have copies available. All in all, and Trustee Kritzmeyer, I'm sure, went through the audit. There were no negative remarks. It was a positive audit. Again, working with Sikich is a pleasure. They're good at what they do.
Minor amount of, I mean, every report I saw, you got all of the very direct ones, but very clean. Our accountant is serving them very well. I mean, a couple of journal entries changing the way things are characterized for future stuff, but like all in one page, very minimal.
It it was really a good, clean fiscal year without a lot of things. And I think we did some things smart going into that year too. We made the amendments where we needed to make amendments to the budget. We turned around and, made sure that our financial people got, what they needed on a timely basis. The auditors received what they needed on a timely basis from the board members and from staff as well. So it was a positive experience.
Anybody have any questions on it? No? I know they fixed that $500,000 grant that we got, that we didn't get.
That's right. I will,
There's Vic, this is a note that you and I should catch up sometime later on the changes for the Series A and Series B bonds for TIF on the language on that. It doesn't affect this audit, but there's also
Yeah.
a future change about restating all kinds of things. I wanna make sure that we get all of our ducks lined up before that future step.
Yeah,
One of the-
I agree that it doesn't affect the audit before you tonight. It might be worthwhile to have the conversation even before the audit for fiscal 23 start, just to make sure that that's gonna be part of the process as it goes forward.
Yeah, no, I think we wanna have it even sooner than that, just to make sure that we sort of make sure that all of our, the way we're resetting the clock is appropriately accounted for in the current accounting, and then also anything going forward and backwards.
Yeah.
So the accountants and the auditors have had at least one conversation. I think you and I need to be part of the next one.
Yeah, I was just gonna read, I was looking at the letter here too, because it says, in our opinion, management's assertion that the Village of Long Grove, Illinois complied with the aforementioned requirements for the year ended April 30th, 2022 is fairly stated in all material respects. So there was nothing really, I mean, there's always some nitpicky thing. There was nothing this year.
that's what Ann said too.
No,
We didn't get anything.
we didn't get any nitpicky. In the past, the ones have been that, management didn't weigh in with a note. We've had ones in the past where we didn't have, financial procedures. We fixed that about 3-4 years ago. So, and then we've been doing a clean job of it, and also last year, putting the budget in order, where Denise was very helpful. I don't know if you recall, but it was the first time we really made sure everything fit inside. We've been very good in the past about making sure the general budget and the capital budget were very clean and integrated. We made sure every other fund was inside this time.
It was a good budget. Two things I would offer as well. First is we will post the financials on the website. Most municipalities do that. We want to make sure that we're transparent, and we get to brag a little bit because it was a good audit. And the second thing I would offer to the board members is when you look at the electronic audit or the paper audit, there are GASB requirements that will be, will affect us down the line, maybe not immediately, so you may want to just become familiar with that for the sake of being familiar. That's all.
That's one of the things I was mentioning. One of them will be about restating all sorts of things, and so that, restructuring the TIF bonds, I want to make sure we've got that cleaned up before that hits.
GASB an acronym?
Government
General Accounting
Standard Board.
Standards Board, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve it.
I move we approve our village, all the government entities, including the TIF.
Second.
Moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Micho?
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci?
Aye.
Village President Jacob?
Aye. Okay, let's move to item number 11, which is the village engineers report.
Okay, thank you. So in the report packet is, the engineer's report dated December 7th. A number of things happening and ongoing. I'll just highlight a few things here. Robert Park Coffin Bridge, the advanced, notification and warning measures. Manager Jackson and myself are still, sifting through all of the information on that. And we'll be, discussing that in the next few weeks before bringing that to the board, in 2023. Dropping down Checkered Road, the traffic calming study, that is complete. We've got all the data. So we're sifting through that, so that we can put that together and summarize that in a succinct fashion and make recommendations. The one piece of information that we're still, tracking down is the, cut-through counts that, Buffalo Groves consultant did, as part of their Lake Cook project. So that'll be a great data point as well to get, so.
The microphone. Thank you. Echo.
Okay.
It's hidden behind the PC.
Okay, jumping down, number 12, this is a new one. This is, Lake Zurich has a sanitary sewer pipe that goes all the way on Cuba Road from actually Clinton almost to the Des Plaines River. They own it, and very proudly, I'm sure, but, the section that is between 83 and Buffalo Grove Road, it's getting near the end of its useful life, and they need to do a sewer lining, to increase the life span on that. So they're going to be planning to do that in January. They've contracted with In Situ Form, local contractor, to do that. They're still working out the mechanics of the schedule and also their bypass pumping, but I've been in contact with Lake Zurich that there will be no traffic impacts for that. So, it's almost a daily phone call that I'm, hey, where's the schedule, where's the schedule, where's the schedule, so that we can, share it with, Long Grove residents as well. So as soon as I have that, it will, go into Greg's email inbox, I'm sure.
Jeff,
This as well.
Jeff, question for you on that one. So we had the pipe break on Cuba Road years ago.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Same one, right? So did they replace that pipe all the way to Route 83?
So shortly after that was replaced, I think that was 2016, maybe?
Something like
Anyway,
that, yeah.
somewhere in there, they actually lined the section of the pipe that's on the south side of Twin Orchards. So
Okay.
between Old McHenry and 83, they've already got that done.
So now they're just extending
Yep.
that lining. And
Yep.
we want them to do it because we had a really awful situation there for a while.
Yeah, and just put a little more on that, before Long Grove resurfaced Cuba Road, Lake Zurich, tested all of the pipe that's in Long Grove, going west of Old McHenry Road, so that we can, as best we can, make sure that that's in good condition, no obvious defects before we spent the money on repaving that road. So that was a good thing that they did at that time as well.
I have a question. You mentioned it goes along Cuba Road west of Old McHenry, but this section is from 83 to Buffalo Grove Road.
Mm-hmm.
What road does it go along? Is it Aptekissick? Between 83 and Buffalo Grove Road?
If you look at it,
Yep.
Aptekissick
Yeah,
should be Cuba.
yeah, it's Cuba there, yeah, right.
Okay, so Aptekissick is going to have construction next year, and it looks like the sewer line is going to be worked on next year. Can those projects coexist?
The,
And we have our sidewalks and our path also.
Items 11 and 12 and sidewalks.
right, so scheduled for 2023, my guess, and, Lake Zurich hasn't shared it with me, but I want to ask this question, that they're probably doing the sewer lining,
Because we're doing,
because of
because
Lake Dot's
Okay.
project.
But this is not one where they dig it all up.
No, mm-mm.
They go in with, some kind of a piece of machinery that puts the.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse balloon, and then they blow up the balloon, and that's the lining in the pipe.
Like putting a stent into an artery.
Got it. There you go.
I like the reverse balloon, but, okay.
But it's
The
exactly
stent in our-
that.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
But then we have to divert all of that leave-in, right? I mean,
Right, and that's the bypass pumping, so, where they start to where they end, they're gonna have to have a pipe, convey this sewage flow
Yeah.
over land, above the ground. And wherever that crosses any paved surface, my understanding is they're gonna have ramps, so people can get over it, which is gonna be primarily, driveways. They're not anticipating anything on Aptekissick Road itself.
so how does that work? Do we have lines under other towns' roads?
Well, Long Grove doesn't have any sanitary sewer pipes, but, this is a unique situation where Lake Zurich has, ownership of a sanitary sewer pipe in Killdeer, Long Grove, unincorporated Lake County, and then Buffalo Grove.
Between that? Why that, okay.
I could
Probably
only,
dates
I could
back
only speculate,
time
but,
ago.
my guess is some people didn't get along at some point in time.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I actually was involved in the installation of that pipe. So if you're interested, I could share the history, but it's really not that interesting to y'all, or it shouldn't be.
Okay.
I'd rather hear you sing a Christmas song, Vic.
No, I can do that too.
No, you can.
All right, we better keep
Okay, I'm gonna skip
moving.
I'm gonna skip over the Route 22, project here for just a second. Just a couple things, under number 16 miscellaneous. Item D, that material stockpile from the county's project, on the east side of 83, just south of 22, that has been removed. And they've restored that area, so we'll probably get some grass growing in the spring. And then, about a week and a half ago, the, receptacles on the Archer light poles weren't, working, so had a contractor come out. He just had to reset a few things, so, everything is working and the holiday lights, look great, if I can say so. Other than that, we've got the various permit updates. If you want any information on that, please, let me know. Route 22, there was a separate, memorandum that, Manager Jackson sent out to the board, December 9th is what it was dated. It's an update of the memorandum that I understand, was discussed at the previous board meeting, which I was not in attendance. There were a few questions on that, and this memorandum is updated to answer those. There was a question on what color will the concrete be. IDOT has confirmed that the concrete will have a tan pigment throughout, so it's gonna look a lot like, the pictures that are on the second page of the memo. We don't get, IDOT is not, pursuing just the stark gray, so, it'll look more aesthetically appealing. There was another question about the chain link fence. The 4-foot chain link fence that's on top of, some of the retaining walls, that is IDOT's standard fence, and that will be installed at their 100% their cost. It'll be, 9 gauge steel. The posts will be, galvanized steel. If the village should wish to have an upgrade to that, like something more decorative, that is two things. One, subject to IDOT's, review and approval, and two, the upcharge to do a decorative fence, would be the responsibility of the village.
Didn't we talk about this 18 months ago, approximately? We talked about the builder basic, and we talked about an upgrade. And I know the recent numbers include the graffiti-proof stuff and all that, but I thought we said chain link fence, in Kildare on Quentin, where there's a little bridge. It's like, it's not wrought iron, but it's a black railing. I suppose.
Kind of like painted aluminum or something, yep.
Exactly, yeah. That's, I'm sure, considered an upgrade. That look a lot nicer than chain link fence.
Yeah, an opinion, absolutely, a lot of municipalities have gone through that, you can even see in the, 2 of the 4 pictures on the second page, that's what was, installed there. So, yeah, you're correct that, the chain link fence, the meeting we had with IDOT, it was, it's not really gonna look all that great. And IDOT did not, at that point, ask for the decision on that. So, what that fence and what, the village would like to pursue, that conversation hadn't happened.
Yeah, but at one point, they were rushing us to hurry up and give us an answer, which we gave them.
Yep.
But now it's coming back. It's like, what?
So it was hurry up and rush to give them the answer on the form liner, and then we hadn't heard anything. So, at Trustee O'Reilly's, comment, I contacted IDOT and, oh, yeah, by the way, yeah, if you can provide us some more information, that would be great. So, proactive on the village's end, and then IDOT, oh, yeah,
Well, there was another email that just came in, though, coincidentally, though, too, before you, even did that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
so,
They just coincidentally came in.
yeah,
So as if they were listening to our meeting.
yeah. They're subscribed to the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
so.
But where are we at on that? Are we still waiting to give them an answer, or are we accepting chain link fences?
So that has not been decided yet. So if the village, knows what they want, or, you know, we can have that discussion so that we can take that back to IDOT. Anytime that we take that back to them, they'll incorporate that into the agreements and into the plans moving forward.
Well, the issue is, we don't know when they're gonna get around to 22, so
Correct.
today's numbers are irrelevant. You know, so we're just gonna, is this like Groundhog Day?
And are we looking,
So,
because of not being here for the start of this, the discussion when it first started, do we have any clue on how far out we're at on this? Is it 5 years?
It's in the 5-year.
it's in the 5-year plan, but, they haven't committed to exactly when that is.
Keeps being in the 5 years.
It's in the 5-year.
You are
plan.
correct.
There's a public perception that Longbow is against Route 22 widening, because that's the section that hasn't been widened, even though it's the complete opposite, we'd love to see it widened. The intersection of 22 and North Kruger Road is accident prone, the people who live there call it the Good Samaritan last. You know, I don't know that they've got all of the land, like, it just keeps pushing out there, and we don't even know, they ask for these decisions, but they don't even have the land.
Correct, yep.
Yep.
They gotta buy
And the-
corners to improve the intersection.
And I'm going to be increasingly asking the question because of this project we're working on, starting the capital improvement plan and making it comprehensive, that I'm gonna ask how far out are we on this so we can properly budget for it, if there's something of that magnitude. I mean, we're talking 213,000 on the high end right there, I mean, cheap.
No.
So on the fence issue, not to be on the fence, but, let me, go back to IDOT and get the price, the upgraded pricing, today's dollars, of, let's just start with, you know, the picture that we've got, the 4 foot high, the spindles that are 4 inches apart, aluminum painted black, so at least we have that information.
And we have one more item too, is whatever happened with our landscaping plan, right?
Right,
We gotta find out where,
so that's
yeah.
That's right.
the next thing.
We paid.
We have an architect that came up with a plan,
Correct,
right?
correct. But, and then I don't know, we talked about having the, Conservancy Committee.
Correct.
Take a look at that, and they've made some terrific recommendations regarding, you know, this can withstand road salt, this one can't, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's all just Groundhog Day.
And your memo,
You know, like,
Jeff, from November 16th,
Yeah.
the one I'm looking at, the correct one?
This one was updated December 9th,
I have never seen that,
okay?
so,
Went out.
You emailed that out, right?
no, not to my email.
Oh, okay.
I checked them both.
You're looking at me.
I don't know.
Okay.
Get my email in?
But this is,
Because I think there was also,
What's that?
what's the in upfront cost, and what is our responsibility for maintenance if we ask for an upgrade?
What we should probably do, not to add another folder on the shared drive, we should just put one out there for Route 22 and just have it there, so.
Yeah.
Well, just so we have it handy, you know, you just gotta figure out how to move the file, get corrupt.
and we have several easements.
You're welcome.
On 22 purposely over the years for exactly this kind of issue.
Correct.
So what is our action step now?
And then, let's see, so IDOT is asking for the direction on if the village would like to pursue the staining, which is actually, you know, kind of painting the bricks, if you will, that are not really bricks, but that's what results from the form liner, and if, the village wants to pursue anti-graffiti treatment. So that was the $213,000, that would be the village cost on the high end. That's with the staining and the anti-graffiti. Just with the staining, that was $139,000.
Yeah, but didn't you tell us that if we did the anti-graffiti, then we were responsible for cleaning it up?
Correct.
Really makes no sense to,
I think that one, we can't sign up for that kind of ongoing commitment.
yeah.
Right.
So, that's the direction, just to confirm, I'll take that back to IDOT.
Honest with you, yeah, I'm not refusing because they know the likelihood of something like that happening. We would end up eating that cost.
I think we just put a mural on there.
You know, why not, right? Why not? We have artists in this town, you know, we could have a contest to submit.
But either way, we're not gonna have IDOT do anything.
So to check understanding, if we do not put the anti-graffiti treatment and there's graffiti, then IDOT is responsible for cleaning it up.
Correct.
If we do put the anti-graffiti treatment and there's graffiti, then we're responsible for cleaning it up.
Yes.
So we
Seems
could-
like an easy decision.
We could
I think
keep
that's-
paying for it.
Trustee Kritzmeyer, great segue. The other, item that was discussed at the November 22nd board meeting was murals, as I understand it. And IDOT provided, and it's on the back end of the memorandum, but IDOT has a policy for aesthetic treatments on structures. So in short, doesn't directly address murals, but IDOT will consider them on a case-by-case basis. There's, specific things that, you can and can't do. For example, the color palette needs to, stay away from predominantly red, yellow, and orange, as those are traffic regulation and safety sign colors, so they don't want that to conflict with that. They don't allow slogans, population numbers, on there, because those things can change over time. And then the policy, addresses that the costs of the mural, if approved, borne by the local, agency, and then any maintenance of them is going to be the responsibility of the local agency. And then, of course, in the agreement, or in the policy, it says IDOT doesn't take any responsibility for it. It actually does make a statement in here that says the local agency must assume full liability for any damage or injury caused by the aesthetic treatment. So,
That would be
Have-
graffiti.
so we can have, Vic weigh in on that as well. But, they do have a policy, and the response from IDOT was that it's a common question to, hey, can you make these things look a little bit even, more aesthetically pleasing than a tan pigmented concrete? So they're not asking for that decision now, but, the sooner that, the village can provide direction to IDOT, I think that puts the village in the best position, so IDOT can't say that they're waiting for Mongrel for anything.
So should we put it on a specific action item for a future meeting?
Yeah. how
Whatever
do-
you need
how do-
approval on,
how do
let's
we-
make sure it's on an agenda.
Yeah.
How do we,
Only voted, go ahead.
no, okay.
No, I was just saying, whatever we need approval on, let's make sure we put it on an agenda item, so it's formally approved by all, right?
And everybody knows we're talking about
Yeah,
it.
Okay.
right.
So I've got the fence and the mural, or a decorative treatment. Let's leave it at that. And once we have that together, we'll put that on an agenda.
Quick question, not that this topic, if you're ready.
Sure.
Item 5, when do you expect to hear back?
I don't expect to hear anything on that one until late first quarter 2023 at the
And
earliest.
what about the item 4?
The Village Hall expansion?
Yeah, the architects came in, they did their assessment on December 5th. The structural and mechanical engineer came in, they are supposed to give us the presentation, I believe, the first meeting in January.
First meeting in January, okay, thank you.
So that way we can decide what direction we want to take.
Wasn't drumming fingers, just trying to,
Yeah,
expectation.
Actually, item 5 reminded me of something, and I don't wanna take up meeting time unless it's a very quick answer, cover it separately. But I noticed that if you look at the cost per square yard of the pathway on Old McHenry and compare it with the cost per square yard of the pathway on Aptekissick, the one on Old McHenry costs about 8 times as much per square yard compared to the one on Aptekissick. And I'm wondering why the big difference.
Are you looking at our cost or the total cost?
Total cost.
Probably a longer answer, but the shorter answer is, that one's being planned with, other construction activities and designed as part of the overall widening project, whereas the path on Old McHenry Road is a standalone, and that's the only item that, the contractor would be working on,
And we have to pay prevailing wage.
which Lake County would as well.
Right, right,
But yes.
but we get a break from the counties
Is,
about.
is Lake County going to do any work on Old McHenry in the near future?
We did that a few years ago.
Right.
Don't be
Okay.
surprised.
What else you got there, Jeff?
That's all I have. If there's any questions, happy to.
Question I have, the bridge expenses is part of what you're going to present include what we have spent thus far on,
Yes,
trying to discover the magic
yes.
bullet?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're gonna keep ourselves moving here. There is, discussion and consideration approval of submitted landscaping plan for 6881 September Boulevard. I mean, it looks like the recommendation is to approve. I think, any questions from anyone?
We can't delegate this straight to the CSCC, we have to talk about it?
The CFCC
They
made the
approved,
recommendation.
they provided a memo approving it.
We can't just, I just wondered, I thought,
If the board, and Vic can correct me if I'm wrong, if the board wants to do something contrary to the CFCC, this is what this opportunity is.
okay.
Mhm.
They're basically making a recommendation to move forward with a submission of a landscaping plan.
Yes, I don't think there's any action
action.
unless somebody has a question or,
It seems like their suggestion is for the benefit of the entire neighborhood.
Yes.
Mhm.
Works for me.
So if we're okay with it, we don't need
We
to,
just let it go, yeah.
all right.
And Vic's nodding his head, so we're good. All right, we'll move on. Discussion and consideration and appointment of Archana, I hope I pronounced her last name right, Sakuja, to the Village of Long Grove Architectural Commission for a 3-year term to expire on December 2025. She's an architect, lot of energy. She came recommended by Gene Sylvester, our AC chair. So, it's hard to find people like her. I'm excited that she's raised her hand.
Yeah.
And-
Is Greg in any conflict with her role at Highland Park?
No, because, it's not, and she's in the building department there. She's not necessarily, you know, in an AC role, but I don't see any conflict of interest there in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Be nice to meet her,
Yeah.
welcome her, you know.
Yeah, she was gonna try to join tonight, but I did meet with her and, just a great conversation.
I think it's great.
Yep.
Speaking of,
Can somebody make a motion first?
So moved.
second,
Okay, so moved by trustee Tanucci, seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Tanucci,
Aye.
trustee O'Connor,
aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer. Aye. Trustee Micho,
Aye.
President Jacob.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Go ahead.
Question, speaking of the architectural committee, Gene Sylvester mentioned that there are a lot of historical homes in Long Grove. A historical home is anything that's 50 years old or more. And she talked about, I forget you probably know the official word for it, but where someone comes in and kind of certifies that we have these kinds of buildings in Long Grove. But I'm sure it's not free. Are they allowed to bring that before us as a request? Is that something we are interested in? Is it something?
That's a decision that the board would have to make. I would suggest, and I think we'd have to look at it carefully, in the sense of who's gonna manage the program, but
Can you clarify what you're?
Yeah, what
talking about?
program?
I think you're making assumptions that we should be, like, at least understanding, whatever it is.
it's, what it is there's a preservationist that comes in to a community and can assess the properties in the community to see if they have historic value. They do, in essence, an inventory of that, and then make it available to the body So that when the body's making decisions, whether it be related to zoning, whether it be related to demolition, whether it be related to, they would have that bit of data in front of them.
Gotcha, so it's like a feeder into the National Registry of Historic Places, like the bridge is on.
It could potentially, depending on what the property is, be
But that
used
idea-
that way, but it's an assessment of what do you have that could be of historic value in the town that you may not want to compromise.
And
I appreciate that.
And if I understand it correctly, in addition to that, they are able to, identify these properties, some of which, you know, we drive or walk or are in all the, frequently and have no knowledge of, wow, this building is kind of, like especially some of the super contemporary properties that we have right off of Old McHenry. Part of taking this inventory is just having pictures of these properties so that there's a record. Like we have pictures of the way the town looked in the 20s and the 30s, and a lot of communities do this. It's a historical kind of way to say, here's where we came from, sort of thing.
Are you suggesting a one-time inventory or an ongoing program?
We'd have to ask Jean because she knows much more about it than I do.
Well,
Well, if I might jump in, our Architectural Commission is also our Historic Preservation Commission. It is not by village code, the type of commission that actually designates landmarks, but it does have, under the village code, the authority to, identify, keep records on, make recommendations regarding structures of historical significance. And I think that's probably the genesis of what Jean's looking at. So, and it may result in some kind of recommendation for something more formal, but there's essentially 3 different ways that historic preservation is handled at the local level. Or I guess 4. One is do nothing. One is to have a more informational commission like we have here in Long Grove. One is to have an advisory historic preservation commission, which actually designates landmarks but doesn't have any teeth. And then the final way is to have one that actually reviews and can restrict the changes to historic preservation. So we're in a fairly low obligation standard in terms of our historic preservation, but the informational aspect is certainly an element of it, and I think that might be the point that Jean was looking to raise.
so that portfolio of historic properties also allows you the opportunity to secure some grant money for certain preservation activities, if that's something the village would be wanting to look at. The other thing is, it is going to be a program because everything ages. So there'll be so there's going to be a cost associated with that. My recommendation would be for Chairperson Sylvester to put together a package. She's well-versed in this. She's done it in places. She was essential in helping make sure that the Adlai Stevenson building was preserved. For her to put together a package and pass it on to staff, pass it on to me, and then I'll distribute it to the board, see if the board wants to talk about it. But there will be a cost associated.
So who's gonna follow up with Jean?
I can,
Either one, whichever you want, trustee.
Shouldn't Greg do it, just,
that's fine.
yeah,
That's-
copy you on it, so you'll.
Sorry, but she mentioned that, for example, that barn
Yep.
on 22 at Old McHenry is this historic building. And, it's like, well, now that you mention it, I can see how it would be.
So it's historic versus just aging.
And-
Because of its age and because it's original, it's been there like, I don't know how many years.
So was the old schoolhouse that got torn
Yeah.
down at the gas station by me.
I know.
It's the question of what's historic and what has history.
Correct. But, she was telling me that on the
Hey, Chris.
CFI building,
We see you. We see you, Chris. Chris joined, I'm sorry, just keep going.
on the CFI building, because it's more than 50 years old, that property owner, I guess the former property owner, could have had a huge tax deduction simply because of that, had they just applied for it. You know, and I'm like, whoa, I mean, the things you find out that, and you can't go back and, you know, claw it back or anything, but, things like that are, I think, helpful, interesting, and kind of part of who we are, so I'll be quiet.
Okay, good, we're gonna keep moving on.
Chris, do you want?
Yeah, so that's where I was going, I was trying to get there.
Sorry.
So Dan Berg, joined from Sikich, and Dan, we did, approve the audit. We did see that, your, you know, we read your cover note that, you know, everything looked good, probably better than ever. Was there anything you wanted to say to us, at this point?
If you've already approved it, I can only do damage, right? So,
Could.
just saying.
Is there any comments, do you have any comments or anything?
Any comments? And
Yeah.
I understand that you may not be the person here next year, so.
Actually, I didn't hear, Ann there. Sorry.
Would you have any comments you would add to it for our use? And then I also, could you comment, I understand you may be not the person who leads us in this discussion next year.
Word is out, huh? Yeah, I have retired as a partner effective January 1. I will be around as a director, which is an employee, for all of calendar next year and perhaps beyond as needed by the firm. So I could have a hand in next year's audit. That remains to be seen, but I'm happy to continue on, but more as a part-timer than a partner that I've been for the last 21 years, so 22 years. So actually, I did want to assure the board that the audit went pretty smoothly overall. We came to kind of a stopping point, waiting for a little bit of information from the bank that took over a month to get, and that's why the report was delayed to sending out the finals in mid-November. But you do have a clean opinion, an unmodified opinion, and all the other reports, including the TIF report, the GATA report for the state grant requirements, and the board communications are all issued as well. So really, I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the process or the documents you have before you.
How do we prevent the 1 month delay next time?
We don't have to worry about it. It was Bank of America.
Oh, okay. Okay. The comment was, it was Bank of America custodian, and they're, I guess, exiting that business.
Right. Yeah. We just needed documentation that your deposits were collateralized. That's literally all we needed.
Phoning New Mellon helps better. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, congratulations on your retirement. Are there any questions? We've already approved it, so. Thank you, well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Come late more often.
Dan, I do want to talk to you on a specific thing that I think Debbie talked to you about restructuring the TIF bonds. It doesn't affect this audit.
Sure. Do you want to do that now or tomorrow or Friday?
No, offline. You know, we will, everybody else will want to put a fork in their eye otherwise.
Okay. Fair enough. Feel free to give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Take care.
All right, I'm going to keep us moving. We have the tax levies.
Can we pull 15 out for a discussion?
Pull 15 out.
Wait, I don't know, so we can just.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go chronologically through it.
No
So
problem.
the first one is consideration of an ordinance adopting the tax levy for the Village of Long Grove Special Service Area. Number 2, Long Grove Commons, northwest corner of Route 22 in Old McHenry Road. Every year, we do the 3% increase. I think the resolution's been written that way. Is there any conversation? Let George do it. Thank you, George. Yep. Appreciate it. Sorry about that. You're getting banging online. You're good. All right, so is there any conversation? Or does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
Item 14, I move we approve the tax levy for the Long Grove Special Service Area Number 2, Long Grove Commons,
With the 3% increase?
with the 3% increase.
Second.
Okay, moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Aye. Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Trustee Micho?
Aye.
Trustee Canucci?
Aye.
I don't think I have to vote, right, Vic? I'm good? Nope. All right, motion carried, thank you. All right, so this is the next one, which trustee Kritzmeyer has expressed, wants to talk about. This is consideration of an ordinance adopting the tax levy for the Village of Long Grove Special Service Area Number 3, which is the Downtown Historic Business District, for the promotion of tourism and economic development activities.
We did get an audit from them, we still don't have plans, we don't have a budget. Every year I feel like I'm a broken record. I'm just gonna go on record, I'm tired of being a broken record.
And I already asked about this over the weekend to one of my 15 emails to Greg, maybe more. Basically, what we can do here tonight is approve the levy contingent on getting the missing information, which is the business plan
Their business plan and their
and budget.
forward budget.
and budget. So that's what I would recommend that we do. Unless Vic has a comment here, he's got a peace sign up.
Yes, keep in mind, this money comes to the village. We, by agreement, provide that to the HDLGBA, provided that they're meeting their obligations. So I would suggest that we levy it. We don't have to have any conditions upon the levy of the tax. Really, the condition is upon whether and when we give it to them. And I think that we hold the money back until we get the information that they are obligated to provide us, if that is the want of the board.
That's very fair. We should be levying the tax because everybody know how this works, right? Okay.
Yeah, we have no choice.
And then the HDLGBA is the most sensible place to implement that objective, but they're not the only ones.
Yeah, no, and I probably stated it the wrong way. Contingent, the payment contingent on
Yeah.
getting that information right. So that's probably how I should have said it, but yeah.
Staff made myself, we made the request for the reports at October 31st when the deadline was required, so.
Yep. So, all right, so motion to approve?
We approve this. If you looked at the breakdown, I think they just said break it down the same way.
Just for information, the breakdown is what the HDLGBA had recommended. It's the same as what was in there last year. We did confirm that the number is the same. We have not, for this one, confirmed that all of the PIN numbers are the same. We assumed that the HDLGBA had done so because that's what they had agreed to undertake. And that's the basis on which this ordinance was prepared.
Yeah, so if any property owner has an objection, basically it's on the HDLGBA then for, if the 165 is broken the wrong way into the pins.
We sorted the pins out though, a couple of years ago, didn't we?
It's the pins, but it's also, we did sort out the calculation, whatever, square footage on the first floor.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's correct. You may recall that there had been an amendment to the ordinance so that the way that the HDLGBA was doing it, which had been at somewhat misalignment with what the ordinance said, we've changed the ordinance so that the two of them were aligned.
Right, but previous to that, we had unknown pins. And pins and no properties. But
We did make some adjustments to that, I want to say 2, maybe 3 years ago.
Right,
And at that point, we did the handoff under the new IGA to the HDLGBA. And so we have not done any further due diligence. We've left that to the association since that time.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so it was moved by trustee Kritzmeyer,
Second.
seconded by Trustee O'Connor, roll call, please.
Trustee Kritzmeyer? Aye. Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Trustee Micho?
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. I would just ask, though, that the record reflect, the minutes reflect that, before the money is dispersed, we need the two additional, the budget and then the business plan.
Go forward business plan. Yeah, I was asking about the pins, because I thought there was some chatter Jackie demolished a property that might still be in here.
I remember that, yep.
That's what I've.
All right, so moving us right along.
Building on the property.
Consideration of an ordinance adopting the tax levy for the Village of Long Grove Special Service Area Number 4. This is the Illinois 83 Property Deep Well Water System.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee O'Connor,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Tanucci. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci?
Aye.
Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer? Aye. Trustee Micho?
Aye.
Motion carried. The next item is consideration of an ordinance adopting the tax levy for the Village of Long Grove Special Service Area Number 6, the downtown Long Grove Old McHenry Road Public Water System.
Moved.
Moved by Trustee O'Connor, seconded by Trustee Kritzmeyer. Roll call.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer? Aye. Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Trustee Micho?
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is discussion and consideration and approval of a resolution approving an employee health insurance proposal for the year 2023, submitted by Jay Krug. Do you want to present this, or?
The board was provided with an amended staff memorandum. Two reasons. One, I had to adjust some calculations, but the second part was requested by members of the board at our last meeting. Just presented it for informational purposes to kind of streamline the Excel spreadsheet, the matrix that I provided. So that is in front of the board right now. There would be an increase with this plan of 10.6% on the employer side, and 16.7% on the employee contribution. Two things. I was asked to take a look at potentially bringing those numbers closer together, and there is certainly a formula of taking 20% of the dental and having it picked up by the board, or picked up by the village, and then to pick up the entire vision policy for the year, which would bring it to roughly about 7.5% contribution of the employee and 12.6%, I believe, of the employer if we made that adjustment. I've also tasked staff with the insurance is taken, and some of this happened prior to my arrival, but we used to have an HSA, HRA, and then we went from an HSA, HRA high deductible program to an HRA high deductible program.
Can you slow down and explain them, please?
HSA is a safety, or it's a savings program.
Health savings account.
Where the money that is put in there by the employer can roll over, and it can be dispersed at the end of, if an employee leaves, whatever money that isn't used, depending on how the employer sets it up. It has, it's not taxable until the money is released, and then it becomes income at that point. Where the HRA is an employer controlled, the employer reaps the tax benefits of that, and the money is not dispersed at the time that the employee leaves. They're high deductible programs. They complement high deductible programs. And our carrier on this is the same carrier that we've had in the past, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that was at the staff's request that we could look and see if there's no way possible of continuing it with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We could, it made sense. Also, last year was the first year, there was a mandate from the board going back to 2020 to do the employer employee contribution from 90-10 to 80-20. It did not get implemented for whatever reason in the year that the board gave that direction. Last year, it was implemented at the 80-20 rate. So, so I have also tasked staff with reevaluating our insurance program that we offer the employees, to shop a little bit better at what's out there without necessarily looking at the high deductible, and see what we can bring back. We've talked about potentially pooling resources with other municipalities. We did look at the state of Illinois healthcare program this year. What I was told by staff as they were doing their research was that it was not much different than what we were already running with here. Also, as a point of information, we're such a small organization. There was at one point, we had one employee on the health insurance. And to try and allow that one employee to be covered by a group insurance policy was a tough task. It wasn't until last year that, Mr. Hogue came off the program. And then we had several open months where there was one employee, and then we had another employee come on with 2 months left into the calendar year. So this is the first year where we're going to have 3 employees on the insurance for some time. So I've tasked staff with looking at alternatives. We'll put together packages and bring it to the board. Healthcare insurance, like any other benefit, is a retention tool as much as it is a health insurance benefit. And that's where this is at as of today. Again, if we did picked up 20% on the dental and the full vision, it would lessen the expense to staff. Plus, the staff has never had a vision package as part of their insurance, so it'd be something brand new that they hadn't had in the past.
This is an overall premium of
Yes,
$246.
that's correct.
Trustee Borowski or Trustee Michaud, do you have any questions? I want to make sure I include you in the meeting.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. No questions particularly, but when Manager Jackson keeps saying that he asked staff to look into it, is there any consultants that can look into it in the future? Seems to me like, the wolf guarding the hen house kind of thing, right? Or I guess I don't know what the right word is, but it would seem to have it would be better if we had an independent set of eyes looking at this, making proposals as well.
Yeah.
But no questions on the current.
No, and Trustee Borowski, to your point, it would be staff guiding for getting the information to the company. Our current company our current broker can look at other opportunities. This is what the marching orders they were given. So your point's well taken. Absolutely.
So staff is not looking into it, they're feeding information
They're
to a broker.
going to shepherd the program to make sure it goes from, so we get the data if we have to look at multiple brokers, multiple programs. And again, I think it's a benefit to us from an employer standpoint, and I say that from a cost standpoint, to look at our a potential intergovernmental agreement, if it's possible, with some of our neighboring communities, whether that's Kildare or Mundelein or somebody else, that would allow us to jump on theirs because it increases their numbers, which is what insurance is about. It's about the risk level and the number of people you've got.
Spreading the risk,
Right, and for us to have that opportunity to potentially do that has not been explored in the past. So I think it's a good opportunity for us.
Deer Park or North Bear?
Yeah, exactly.
So staff requested staying with Blue Cross Blue Shield,
Yes.
And that this is,
as a retention, how is it received? Is it
going to work? How is this received?
How is the program received?
Yeah.
The program's received and President Jacob and I talked about it earlier today. The program's received as it's too high of a deductible. Too much of an expense that's coming out of the employee's pocket. That's why I think we need to look at it. I shared with President Jacob that I thought, in compared to other municipalities, we have an area of improvement.
Okay.
And it's key for retention.
I agree with that. I think it's also a tool, for people. I talked to a benefits counselor, and it reminded me that we discussed at great length HRAs versus HSA a couple, 3 years ago. The health reimbursement is exactly that, if I understand
Yeah,
this correctly, since
you're right.
I'm self-employed. Okay, and the savings account is money that really, the way I understand it is, if we feel that we are paying our employees a fair going wage, and industry standard-wise, government standard-wise, then that will transfer to benefits, deductibles, programs, so on and so forth. If we feel that our employees are working at a not so generous pay from us, a way to bounce that up is through
HSA.
the HSA, correct? Because again, if I understand this correctly, and I think I do, the monies that go in there they belong to that employee.
Right.
And
They do.
if
That's
they don't use them, if they're healthy people, it's so that when they do, and my question is on a
And it can roll over from one year to the next.
Exactly. And my question is, are those monies set aside in a separate account, or are they monies that we,
Well,
they,
the HSA money isn't there anymore because there's not an HSA, but the question was asked, and we have money set aside for the HRA in the
right,
budget.
we went to an HRA.
Correct.
This plan is an HSA.
No.
They work
This is still,
This is an HRA.
HRA.
the employee sets it up and directs the investments that money is in.
okay.
Right, so an
okay,
HRA
it's
money is
not-
in the village account, and HSA, if it existed, would be in the employee's account.
That's my question.
Except we
They're
would,
still gonna have an account.
we'd still
This
budget,
is a high deductible program.
Right.
You still budget for
right,
it.
exactly.
The money would
They
physically
serve
sit
it.
in an employee's account.
They all have their own accounts though, too, because they're putting money into it,
Correct.
in addition.
I get that.
And that money can roll over each year.
In an HSA.
It's not an HSA, this is a high deductible.
This is an HRA.
HRA, but this money does not roll over.
No, we don't send money over the side of the table until there's a health,
Until
Correct.
No.
the reimbursement.
No, but hey, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a high deductible program, so they're putting money into this account themselves, right? And then that money is
It's
not
100%
used.
employee, it's all by us.
Oh, it's all by us, okay,
No.
got it.
the way it works, and, because I was the one who was asking, I was like, please
Yeah.
let me understand how it works, and also, is there anything we can do to align this 10 and 16?
The
Right.
question I was,
This is, the first dollar that gets spent comes out of the employee.
Up to 1,500.
First 1,500.
And when you sent me, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else is interested, but the actual thing, like, very little is actually covered by any co-insurance and except for preventive. So absolutely, we're paying for 1,500. In an HSA, it becomes part of comp because it's
Mhm. Exactly,
I get it,
Here, it's only if you're sick or have a health event do you get this money.
exactly.
right.
So with this plan, the employee pays the first 1,500 as the deductible. And then after that, 4,500 is available on a reimbursement basis, so the employee would pay up to 4,500, but then get reimbursed up to that 4,500.
Correct.
And then beyond that, the employee is responsible for the remaining 1,050. So bottom line is, out of the 7,050 deductible, talking about a single plan now,
Right,
the employee would pay 2,550, and, the health reimbursement account, which is paid by the village, would be 4,500.
correct.
And your input is that our employees feel that this is not generous enough.
I would say this, that, without the question that had been asked of me, and President Jacob and I talked about it today, the plan is not a great plan.
Okay.
So,
I've heard the employees', discussion on this and their position on it. But my position on it is, it's not a great plan.
So how do we fix it?
What
Can
do
we
we-
fix tonight and
Yeah.
what
I
can we
would-
fix later?
So like any other insurance plan, there's a trade-off between the deductible and the premium.
Sure.
Get a lower deductible, but then it's gonna cost you more per month, so.
But, so what can we change anything tonight?
I would-
And what can we change going, or can we evaluate it forward?
Well, and I would say this, I would make the change on the vision and the dental. I would do that tonight to get the numbers closer together. This is the last time we're gonna meet in order to put a plan together.
Right.
We take an aggressive look at next year's plan in identifying, opportunities for a better plan, more cost-effective. When we talk about salaries and where the compensation comes in there, I definitely believe that we need to look at the healthcare, but I will say that for during the first few months here, I did a market analysis, some good numbers on what people, on pay scales, when I rewrote all the job descriptions. And our pay scales are not off. They're not off by a great amount. And I'm happy to do a full presentation of that to the board. But we're also a small organization. and
So that the actual salary is in the ballpark, but the full package is not?
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. So when you're doing a compensation study, it's not just salary,
It should be the full
it's the full
Right.
package.
So it's too late to research additional or talk to surrounding
No,
communities?
I don't think it's too late to do research, and I don't think it's too late to find, is it too late once we signed a year agreement to, identify another insurance company? I'll defer to Kent, I've never done that. Could we find it, if we stayed with the same broker, stayed with Blue Cross Blue Shield and made adjustments to
This is a group plan, so I'm not certain. I know with individual, you're stuck with it unless you have some life event. Group plans, I'm actually not certain what the rules are right now, so I don't know.
It's not normally done. It's like, we have to do something tonight in order for them to be covered January first.
Well, so can I make a suggestion though? Can't we approve this tonight? And if we want to include the dental and the eye
vision.
as part of it, vision as part of it. And then just ask Village Manager Jackson to see if there's any tweaks that can be made that can bring back to us at the first January meeting.
Yeah.
It would have to be with the same plan,
Right.
but is there anything that can be tweaked, then we can come back, and if there's an additional cost, authorize it.
Yeah, we can look at offsetting some dollars on the deductible. I mean, we could play, things like that with the employees and.
We could, and with the next fiscal year budget, we could kick in on the HRA, I would think.
We are paying, you mean if you're talking about paying the employee side of the HRA?
Yeah, or some portion like that.
Potentially increase the HRA.
Exactly, change the ratio right now is, 25%, 15 to 45. We could kick in and start add more to that so that we help reimburse
Right.
earlier.
You could do that anytime.
You could do that anytime.
We were able to, in my previous employer, we were in the identical program. Smaller community, smaller budget. What we ended up doing was working out an agreement with a local fraternal order of police union that would allow us to come into their, those are opportunities for us to look at,
Sure.
so.
So I would move that
We approve this with the
20%
employer
pay,
Dental.
we pay 80% or 20%.
Right now, the employee pays 100%.
I know that.
So we'll pay 20. And then pay the 100% of the vision.
which 20%.
20% of the dental
The village will pay 20% of the dental
and 100% of the
and
vision.
100% of the vision. We can always change more of that later. So those are we can't change the Blue Cross Blue Shield
Correct.
choice in front of us, but we can change how we pay for things.
Correct.
Okay, so that was,
I move that for right
okay,
now.
moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, second
Second?
by trustee Tanucci, and that's a roll call.
Trustee Chris Meyer,
Aye.
trustee Tanucci,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Micho,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, the next, items are the village president and trustee reports. So, there were two task force meetings during Thanksgiving week.
Thank you very much for doing that on our behalf.
Yeah.
You're welcome, thank you. There's another task force meeting this coming Friday, and it's the last one before the end of the year. So what I did do on Friday night, Kent, I saw your email that you couldn't read any of the documents, and then I went up and looked. So when I got back from dinner, I went up and put all the most current documents up there in a brand new folder under my name, right?
Yep.
And in there, there was a letter from Mundaline to the IDNR, making it clear that Mundaline opposes transferring the land from IDOT to the IDNR. So I need to back up a little bit too, because after the meeting on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, over that weekend, I sent a letter out, just a memo out, blind copied everyone, talking about the fact that we have one sub area up north where I am, that it was bought by, it's Midlothian Road in 83, where it was bought for these clover leafs, right? And it's just a lot of farmland that's been bought up. But we had contemplated some economic development there. And I had gone to the task force meeting, and Vic had proposed some language, because, you know, there's obviously the opportunity even for a train station up there. It was always in our comprehensive plan to have a train station up there. And I put that language before the task force, and they pretty much objected it. And so I know in talking to Vic, the idea is how do we maybe acquire some of the land, or how do we, working with the developer, get some of that land, you know, for a train station or whatever, or something, so that it could be developed. And I know that, you know, Vic had talked about there's, you know, even if the land does get, the recommendation is to transfer it to the IDNR, there is possibly the opportunity, it'll be harder to get access to some of that property before it gets transferred. But what I'm basically saying is that the most priority number one for our village has always been to basically stop Route 53. And so I want your permission to continue approving transferring the land to the, you know, to the IDNR. That's what I'm looking for the board to say, yeah, vote yes. It would be tragic if we voted no, because we've come so far here, and just hope that we have the ability at some point to maybe get our hands on some of that land somehow, some way, that could be used for productive means, not only for the village, but maybe even to pay for some of the development of the green, you know, the pathway system that perhaps could be put there. But this resolution, you know, needs to be, this is the end of the task force, and this is the resolution that'll be passed by the task force members and then submitted to the governor per the, you know, per the resolution.
It looked like the one change that we had discussed that you had made, they punted to
Yeah.
the coming meeting.
Right.
And so you're asking for our permission to vote yes, even if they say no to that particular long road extension?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and you know, what we need to hear is what delayed the decision on this was, IDOT, you know, there's some road widening. If you look at like 176, you look at Midlothian Road, you look at Route 22, there's gonna be, you know, the state owns land, and the way this was written, they didn't want to give up some of the ownership because they don't want to have to buy back the land that they've already bought to widen the roads, right? Mm-hmm. So coming up with the appropriate wording that would be acceptable to all is what the issue is right now. And that's why no decision was made. So I hope that there's some decent language that comes about that's clear and easy and doesn't, you know, degrade anything that we're trying to accomplish here, which is to, you know, basically protect that land that's been purchased and, you know, create the opportunity to have a green space trail pathway, you know, all the way up to from Grays Lake, all the way down here to Long Grove. So I don't know if there's any objections, but I'm just looking for your, and Vic, you can comment if you want, but I'm just looking for your buy-in. I plan to vote yes to transfer the land to the IDNR. Did I get a yes from Vic, or?
No, I'm just saying, I bet Jenny has something to say.
Oh, Jenny, do you have something to say? Sorry, Jenny.
I don't know if she does, I'm betting.
Oh, okay, you're betting.
I'm 100% for turning it all over to the DNR.
All right, great. And Chris, I'm sure you are too, right?
Yeah, Bill, we need to bury 53.
All right. So if I,
I'd like to see wildlife, people and bicycles there.
yes. So I just want to
Amen.
formally, amen, there you go. All right. Sing it over. I just wanted to formally put that out there, and that's how I will vote, pending whatever they put in front of it. That's how I plan to vote on Friday at 1 PM. So,
Have they sent out that link for the last meeting?
no, they haven't sent the recording out from the last meeting. It's weird. They've been behind. They answered it on the last call saying that, I don't know, whoever does it has been, been behind and they didn't get it posted, but then you suddenly saw the Monday meeting of the Thanksgiving week, right, get posted, so, but they didn't post the Wednesday one. They have the meeting minutes, obviously, but they didn't post the recording, right? Yeah.
And that's that's the only one I've missed
It's the only one you missed, right? They didn't post that recording yet. I looked for it, it wasn't there, so, yeah,
today.
so. All right, that's the end of my report. I have nothing else. I will go around the horn. Trustee Browski, do you have anything for us?
Just very briefly, Greg and I participated in a call with a consulting group that was hired by Lake County Sheriff, specifically to obtain feedback from the contracted municipalities and contracted entities that are engaged with the sheriff. So Greg did a really good job of expressing some of our concerns, things such as the poor data flow, lack of real-time data, as well as hopes that we can get more flexibility in the assigned shift times for the officers. So it was good opportunity for us to input into that process, and hopefully Greg's feedback will be received by the Lake County Sheriff and hopefully acted upon. I got the sense that the consulting company was getting similar feedback from some of the other stakeholders and municipalities that were contracting as well. Unless Greg has anything to add, that's all I'd like to comment on tonight.
That
Covers it.
Yep, thanks for participating. Appreciate it, Chris.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for
good
bringing it
meeting.
up. All right, Trustee Kritzmeyer. Oh, do you have anything else? I'm sorry.
No.
No? Okay. Trustee Kritzmeyer?
I met with, Debbie Smith from our accounting firm to talk about revision treasurer's report, reflecting the changes we made to the Series A and B bonds for the TIF district. And so we've got some of that squared away, and you've heard me make these other comments because of the way we worded that in terms of the opportunity to potentially have any of that arrearage. If there is money available at the end of the TIF come back, we need to figure out how we handle that from an accounting standpoint. So that's where I want to talk to both Dan and Beck. Other than that, we'll get that go forward for that, and she's all clear on how that will change other than the past accrual.
Any questions?
Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you. Any report?
In the report?
Trustee Michaud?
No report.
All right, thank you. Trustee O'Connor?
No report.
Trustee Tanucci?
Jeff
No
took all
report.
the words out of me.
No report?
What was that? Jeff took all my words out of my mouth.
All right, so, village managers report?
That Brock.
I have a couple things. Bank of America is exiting the third-party custodial, for collateral securing of our BMO Harris deposits. They're being taken over, that responsibility is being taken over by Bank of New York. Boney, I didn't know that's what it was called. Vic and Ann, both Trustee Kritzmeyer and our village attorney, both went through the documentation, and Vic's comfortable with it. Need the board's permission to sign off on this agreement that the Bank of New York will take over our collateral coverage. It was very short notice on us getting the information, so we're asking the board to give me approval tonight, and then at the next meeting ratify that approval. But at least I can get the documents in their hands by the December 30th deadline. And if we don't, then we run the risk of
The deadline is actually Friday, this Friday.
That's right, the 16th. The actual, if we do not sign the agreement, we don't have collateral on our cash.
Hey, so, but this is, we already had an agreement in place
Mhm.
prior, right? So this is just a new agreement, and Vic's similar, right? It's
Right.
correct?
These agreements are increasingly stock in trade. You know, the rules were changed probably about 18, 20 years ago. And, there's not any big difference substantively between the two, but it is a different entity that's serving as the custodian of the third-party collateral. And that's why we need to have this new agreement. The upshot, as Greg was about to say, is that if we don't sign this before and deliver it by the 16th, after the end of this month, we will not have any of our BMO Harris monies collateralized, which means that after the 250 FDIC insurance, we're at risk. And so we want to make sure that we're collateralized. This agreement will do that. And it was just the timing that means we're going to have to come back to formally ratify and approve it. But I would ask, as Greg has already teed it up, that the board have a motion to approve it and authorize him to sign it, even though we technically didn't get the 48-hour notice in the Open Meetings Act for this approval.
Okay, so trustee Kritzmeyer, do you want to make a motion?
I move that we give village manager Jackson the ability to sign the three-part agreement, which is what it is. It's us, BMO and, Bank of New York, and then we'll come back and ratify it through the Open Meetings Act. So I move we do that.
Okay, seconded by
Second.
trustee O'Connor. Roll call.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
Trustee Misha?
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Outside dining, the village board adopted, a ordinance to run a pilot program for outside dining and outside beverage service. I had our first meeting with our businesses, last week. Was fairly well attended. We've started to get the applications in for the registration certifications as well as information pertaining to the accessory structures. So the direction we wanted to take it in, it's going that way. Trustee O'Connor attended just to kind of get a feel for where things were going. Also, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, it went well, and we're moving forward with it.
I noticed it was all downtown restaurants you did.
No, I hit Woodfire. I went down to, also I approached Sunset because they do some outside cafe dining. I hit everybody who had a liquor or beer license, or a liquor or food license in town.
Okay.
That Indian one up at the Longo.
Yeah, Tandor, Clay Tandor, I hit them as well.
Thanks.
And I also put,
Bad reading.
I put together it was requested by one of the members of the board at the last meeting for a set of program guiding principles. I have put that together, and I've distributed it to the board. It's also on the Google Drive. The last thing I have is we talked about a January strategy session. I had sent out some communication. I would just ask any board member who hasn't responded with dates for that strategy session, if I could get that, so I could start getting things planned.
Are you zeroing in on January?
Yeah.
January 12th, right?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's not the 12th. 12th's our capital improvement plan meeting. So.
What is it? I'm sorry. Oh, you don't know?
Wait, I don't have the
Okay,
date
got it.
for
All
it.
right,
So,
good.
and the last thing I have is the capital improvement plan. We're looking to make a strong, a stronger plan, a more inclusive plan, more comprehensive plan. We're going to do building and land, equipment, roads, pathways, technology, and incorporate it into a 5-year plan that will keep rolling, so it'll be a better budget tool for us. And water, thank you. A better budget tool for us, as well as a planning tool. Myself, trustee Kritzmeyer, because of oversight on finance, trustee O'Connor, because of pathways and roads, and trustee Tanucci, because of buildings, will be meeting with myself and Jeff in January to have a meeting to start planning out the capital improvement plan. That's all I have.
And if nothing else, we're at the end of the meeting. I would
Bill-
look for a motion to.
Bill,
Yes.
is that, I'm sorry, was that an open meetings issue or not? If there's 3 trustees, did I misunderstand that?
No, we will have to post it.
Okay,
It'll be posted.
okay, thank you.
All right, would somebody like a motion to adjourn?
I would. Second,
Moved by trustee Kritzmeyer,
second.
seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee Borowski,
Yes.
trustee Vito,
Aye.
trustee Panucci.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody. Be well.
Thanks, everybody.
Enjoy.
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Holidays,
It allows, reduced costs for certain things, so
Thursday.
we would pay $15 for you